So, in Baki Dou Chapter 111, Gaia decides to pick a fight with Miyamoto Musashi. Basically, we were getting a little taste of the Musashi vs. Motobe fight that had been getting hyped up the whole time, and it was an interesting matchup to think about. Gaia is a battlefield warrior not dissimilar to Musashi. He was the disciple of Motobe. He can read people's minds, as established in his intro to the series, and later on reconfirmed by Motobe during the fight between Baki and Musashi. And most importantly for me, anyway, is that we hadn't seen Gaia much since he fought Baki and got his ass kicked by Yujiro all the way back in the original series. Questions started racing across people's minds. Would Gaia be able to match Musashi, or maybe even beat him? No, nobody thought Gaia could actually do it, and lo and behold, he did not. That said, during the fight, Musashi really flexed his stuff and reminds us, the readers, how massively he outclasses everyone in the series, save for the likes of High and God tiers. First, Musashi flexes his warrior's aura, outdoing even the most battle-hardened soldiers Gaia knows, and so Gaia decides to pull a ballistic knife on Musashi. Musashi, the absolute mad lad, deduces what a ballistic knife is by reading Gaia's intentions, seeing that, despite having a knife, he does not intend to stab him and close the distance, and seeing that at his current range, he couldn't cut him. Despite having limited exposure to guns, he immediately deduces that it's basically a knife gun. Gaia panics and fires the knife, but Musashi catches the 60km/h blade fired from 5 meters away after only moving with it centimeters away from his face. I was impressed, but I had no idea how to go about finding out just how impressed I should be. Luckily, some Omega Brain Gigachads in the comment section of that manga chapter upload decided to make a comment thread discussing the math behind the feat. The first commenter had this to say: with 5 meters and a speed of 60km/h, it took 0.3 seconds for the knife to reach him. Velocity equals speed divided by time, so time would also equal speed divided by velocity, so 5 meters divided by 60km/h divided by 3.6 equals 0.3 seconds. 300 milliseconds is not even that amazing of a reaction time. A gamer could have dodged that, boy! Well said, Epic Gamer. Well said. He's also correct about one thing, but wrong about the overall result. Had he been right, Musashi's feat wouldn't have been very impressive at all. Average human reaction time is about 250 milliseconds, so a 300 millisecond reaction time would actually be below average. But as I mentioned, this calculation is missing key bits of information to be correct, and a following comment on the thread corrects the missing information and provides a new calculation. At 60km/h, which equals 16.6 bar notation meters per second, he grabs the knife while it was around less than 50 centimeters away. Considering the knife isn't longer than a bayonetta blade, 50 centimeters long, and the length of the knife was larger than the knife itself, we can estimate that it is around 50 centimeters, so he caught the knife whilst his hand was moving from his waist towards his face. According to the first chapters, the clone was made about 180 centimeters tall. Considering the body proportions, the distance between his face and his waist is about 70 centimeters. So he moved his hands towards the object in a time span of around 32.25 milliseconds. He moved far faster than the knife itself. I'm not really sure what he was driving at with the whole "the knife was larger than the knife itself" bit, but I get the general idea, and hopefully you all do too. Basically, Musashi only moved with the blade centimeters from his face rather than when it was fired from 5 meters away. The knife was sailing towards Musashi at about 40 miles per hour from 20 feet away, but Musashi, according to the calculations above, would have moved his hand at roughly 50 miles per hour or 80 kilometers per hour, and he not only did so casually, but he caught the blade with only 2 fingers. This is by no means the fastest we've seen Musashi move. We are actually told that he covers a distance that appears to be roughly 2 meters or about 6 to 7 feet in a time span of, at the very least, 0.9 milliseconds. As he is described in Chapter 85 as having dashed at Yujiro in, quote, less than 0.000, end quote. It is also described as having happened in an instant and in the blink of an eye, so it's extremely heavily implied that this is less than 0.000 seconds, rather than any other unit of time. Don't know anyone that takes minutes to blink, or anyone that thinks a minute is an accurate description of an instant. This feat of speed would not be inconsistent with other speed feats of people of this caliber, but it's nice to see some on-page confirmation with little room for reader interpretation. Anyway, like I said, while Musashi's little dash he does is insanely more impressive than his showings against the ballistic knife, it is cool to think that Musashi just casually moved his hand at roughly 50 miles per hour and was still precise enough to catch a blade with 2 fingers and all without breaking so much as a bead of sweat. Musashi is truly an epic breadwinner, and if you hate on him, you are cringe supreme and you will be sword vibe checked. Yeah, that's all. I just wanted to make a video about this cool feat. I don't really see people mention it often, and I thought it was at least visually and conceptually cool, even if it's not his most impressive speed feat practically, so I wanted to show it some love. Alright guys, that's going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys liked the video and thought it was interesting. If you did, go ahead and show some love and leave a like. Maybe subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of content, calculation, versus battle type stuff, or perhaps you're just a fan of Baki. Yeah, and go ahead and ring that notification bell, because you might as well not even be subscribed if you don't have it on. And yeah, leave a comment if you have any feats you'd like me to cover and talk about, because there are a lot of really cool feats in Baki that I think are extremely underplayed. But yeah, like I said, that's it from me, guys. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.